The Betrayal of the American Dream by Donald Bartlett and James Steele sets the groundwork for the historical and economic analysis of the U.S. trade imbalance. The book was published in 2012 by Public Affairs New York. The thesis by Bartlett and Steele is that the middle class in the United States has been diminished and cut down by a small number of people in power, who have deliberately put in place policies that ended up enriching themselves and damaged the future for the middle class. The main tool discussed is that a policy, which is a prescribed guideline or rule established by the government to address a certain policy area. Policies usually take the form of regulations, laws, and judicial decisions. In the story of the American middle class, the book explains the areas where government action or indifference has taken its hardest toll. The authors tabulate the unprecedented riches the preferential tax law provisions have given to the more well-off in society. They also explain how the rich have bought their influence and how they have used that influence to decimate the working class and the middle class in the United States. What stuck out to me was how well this book described the conditions in the United States that helped thrust a populist leader named Donald J. Trump into the presidency. The book explains how neither Democrats nor Republicans had the backbone to do anything about the trade imbalances with nations like Japan, China, and the EU for fear of antagonizing our trading partners. In the meantime, the unrestricted free trade has become the main culprit in the destruction of good jobs in the United States. For context, the United States has a trade deficit with Canada, which has reached a 20-year high. The Canadian-U.S. trade deficit is $64.26 billion in 2023. The trade deficit with China is even larger, reaching $310.8 billion in 2020. This is, in part, caused by American companies outsourcing jobs to foreign countries in search for cheaper labor. This has resulted in the steady decline in domestic manufacturing jobs in the United States. In order to address trade imbalances and advocate for fair trade practices that result in the growth of U.S. jobs, the United States government must practice import substitution. This strategy results in reducing imports by increasing the domestic production capacity of goods and services currently being imported from overseas. Secondly, the United States needs to create a realistic and comprehensive strategy that utilizes the fiscal and exchange rate levers. Recent data by the Pearson Institute for International Economics has shown that trade balances are positively correlated with the fiscal balances, and that trade balance is also positively correlated with currency intervention. In fact, larger fiscal surpluses push down interest rates, resulting in a country's currency to depreciate. That depreciation in the currency further results in imports becoming more expensive and exports cheaper to foreigners.